Package org.paros proxy.paros.core.scanner. Import java.utility tree map. Import java.utility vector. Import org.apache.commons.client.uri. Import org.apache.commons.client.uri exception. Knowledge base records the properties or result found during a scan. It is mainly used to share result among plugin when dependency arise. There are two types of KB. 1 key equals name. Result equals value. This represents KB applicable over the entire host. 2 key equals name and URL, path without query. Result equals value. This represents KB applicable for specific path only. Public class KB. KB related. Private tree map KB equals new tree map. Private tree map URI equals new tree map. Get a list of the values matching the key. At param key. At return null if there is no previous values. Public synchronized vector get list, string key. Return get list, map KB, key. Add the key value pair to KB. Only unique value will be added to KB. At param key. At param value. Public synchronized void add, string key, object value. Add, map KB, key, value. Public synchronized object get, string key. Vector v equals get list, key. If v equals null v dot size equals 0. Return null. Else. Return v dot get 0. Get the first item in KB matching the key as a string. At param key. At return null if not found or the object is not a string. At param key. At return. Public string get string, string key. Object obj equals get, key. If obj equals null and obj instancy of string. Return string obj. Return null. Public boolean get boolean, string key. Object obj equals get, key. If obj equals null and obj instancy of boolean. Return boolean obj dot boolean value. Return false. Public synchronized void add, URI, string key, object value. URI equals, URI dot clone. String URI key equals URI dot tossed ring. Tree map equals null. Try. URI dot set query, null. Catch, URI exception e. Return. Object obj equals map URI dot get, URI key. If obj equals null. Map equals new tree map. Map URI dot put, URI key, map. Else. Map equals, tree map, obj. Add, map, key, value. Public synchronized vector get list, URI, string key. URI equals, URI dot clone. String URI key equals URI dot tossed ring. Tree map equals null. Try. URI dot set query, null. Catch, URI exception e. Return null. Object obj equals map URI dot get, URI key. If obj equals null and obj instancy of tree map. Map equals, tree map, obj. Else. Return null. Return get list, map, key. Public synchronized object get, URI, string key. Vector v equals get list, URI, key. If v equals null v dot size equals 0. Return null. Else. Return v dot get 0. Public string get string, URI, string key. Object obj equals get, URI, key. If obj equals null and obj instancy of string. Return string obj. Return null. Public boolean get boolean, URI, string key. object obj equals get, URI, key. If, obj, equals null and obj instancio of boolean. Return, boolean, obj, dot boolean value. Return false. Generic method for adding into a map. At param map. At param key. At param value. Private void add, tree map map, string key, object value. Vector v equals get list, map, key. If, v equals null. V equals new vector. Synchronized, map. Map dot put, key, v. If, v dot contains, value. V dot add, value. Generic method for getting values out of a map. At param map. At param key. At param value. Private vector get list, tree map map, string key. Vector result equals null. Object obj equals null. Synchronized, map. Obj equals map dot get, key. If, obj, equals null and obj instancio vector. Return, vector, obj. Return null. Package org.paros proxy.paros.view. Import javax.swing.jframe. Import javax.swing.joptionpane. Import javax.swing.jpanel. Import javax.swing.jtextpane. Import javax.swing.jbutton. Import java.awt.gridbaglayout. Import java.awt.gridbagconstraints. Import java.awt.cardlayout. Import java.io.io exception. Import javax.swing.jscrollpane. Import javax.swing.jlabel. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class license frame extends abstract frame. Private jpanel equals null. Private jtextpane text license equals null. Private jpanel 1 equals null. Private jbutton btn accept equals null. Private jbutton btn decline equals null. Private jscrollpane equals null. Private int current page equals 0. Private boolean accepted equals false. Private jpanel 2 equals null. Public license frame. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This set default closey operation, javax.swing.jframe.exit_on_close. This set content pane, get jpanel. This set size, 500, 375. This add window listener, new java.awt.event.window-adapter. Public void window closing, java.awt.event.window-event-e. btn decline.do click. Show license, current page. This method initializes jpanel. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private jpanel get jpanel. If jpanel equals null. Java.awt.gridbagConstraints 12 equals new gridbagconstraints. Java.awt.gridbagconstraints 11 equals new gridbagconstraints. javax.swing.jlabel equals new jlabel. Java.awt.gridbagconstraints 1 equals new gridbagconstraints. jpanel equals new jpanel. jpanel.setLayout, new gridbag layout. Gridbagconstraints1.gridx equals 0. Gridbagconstraints1.grid equals 1. Gridbagconstraints1.insets equals new java.awt.insets, 2,2,2,2. Gridbagconstraints1.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.northwest. Gridbag constraints 1.fill equals java.awt.gridbag constraints.both. Gridbag constraints 1.gridwidth equals 1. Gridbag constraints 1.weights equals 1.0d. Gridbag constraints 1.weighty equals 1.0d. JLabel.setText, HTML body font size equals plus 1.paros license agreement, the clarified artistic license. Font PPP for the other libraries included in paros. Please refer to respective licenses of the libraries enclosed with this package Body HTML. Gridbag constraints 11.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.northwest. Gridbag constraints 11.fill equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.horizontal. Gridbag constraints 11.gridx equals 0. Gridbag constraints 11.gridy equals 0. Gridbag constraints 11.weights equals 1.0d. Gridbag constraints 11.gridwidth equals 1. Gridbag constraints 11.insets equals new java.awt.insets, 2,2,2,2. Gridbag constraints 12.gridx equals 0. Gridbag constraints 12.gridy equals 2. jpanel.add, JLabel, Gridbag constraints 11. jpanel.add, get jpanel 1, Gridbag constraints 1. jpanel.add, get jpanel 2, Gridbag constraints 12. Return jpanel. This method initializes text license. At return javax.swing.jTextPane. Private jTextPane gets license. If text license equals null. Text license equals new jTextPane. Text license.setName, text license. Text license.setEditable, false. Return text license. This method initializes jpanel1. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private jpanel get jpanel1. If jpanel1 equals null. jpanel1 equals new jpanel. jpanel1.set layout, new card layout. jpanel1.add, get jscrollPane, get jscrollPane, .get name. Return jpanel1. This method initializes btnaccept. At return javax.swing.jbutton. Private jbutton get btnaccept. If btnaccept equals null. btnaccept equals new jbutton. btnaccept.setText, accept. btnaccept.addActionListener, new java.awt.event.actionListener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.actionEvent. Accepted equals true. License frame.this.dispose. Return btnaccept. This method initializes btndecline. At return javax.swing.jbutton. Private jbutton get btndecline. If btndecline equals null. btndecline equals new jbutton. btndecline.setText, decline. btndecline.addActionListener, new java.awt.event.actionListener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.actionEvent. Accepted equals false. System.exit, 1. Return btndecline. This method initializes jscrollPane. At return javax.swing.jscrollPane. Private jscrollPane get jscrollPane. If jscrollPane equals null. jscrollPane equals new jscrollPane. jscrollPane.setViewPortView, gets license. jscrollPane.setName, jscrollPane. jscrollPane.horizontal scrollbar policy, javax.swing.jscrollPane.horizontal_scrollbar_never. Return jscrollPane. Private void show license, int page. String local URL equals null. Switch, page. String remote URL equals http www.statistica.unimib.itudentodelavdavasoftwareartistic2.html. Case 0. Local URL equals file plus system.getProperty, user.dir, plus system.getProperty, file.separator, plus license the clarified artistic license.htm. Break. Try. Text license.setPage, local URL. Catch, IO exception e.print stack trace. Joption pane.show message dialog, new JFrame, error, setting file is missing. Program will exit. System.exit, 0. Public void set visible, boolean show. Center frame. Super.set visible, show. Public boolean is accept. Return accepted. This method initializes jpanel2. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private jpanel get jpanel2. If jpanel2 equals null. jpanel2 equals new jpanel. jpanel2.add, get accept, null. jpanel2.add, get ton decline, null. Return jpanel2. Package org.parosproxy.paros.extension.history. Import java.awt.border layout. Import java.awt.event queue. Import java.awt.event.input event. Import java.utility vector. Import org.parosproxy.paros.extension.abstract panel. Import org.parosproxy.paros.model.history reference. Import org.parosproxy.paros.network.http header. Import org.parosproxy.paros.network.http message. Import org.parosproxy.paros.network.http status code. Import org.parosproxy.paros.view.http panel. Import org.parosproxy.paros.view.view. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class log panel extends abstract panel implements runnable. Private javax.swing.j scroll pane scroll log equals null. Private javax.swing.j list log equals null. Private HTTP panel request panel equals null. Private HTTP panel response panel equals null. Private extension history extension equals null. This is the default constructor. Public log panel. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot set layout, new border layout. This dot set size, 600, 200. This dot add, get scroll log, java.awt.borderlayout.center. Void set extension, extension history extension. This dot extension equals extension. This method initializes scroll log. At return javax.swing.j scroll pane. Private javax.swing.j scroll pane get scroll log. If scroll log equals null. Scroll log equals new javax.swing.j scroll pane. Scroll log.set viewport view, get list log. Scroll log.s horizontal scroll bar policy, javax.swing.j scroll pane.horizontal _ scroll bar _ never. Scroll log.set vertical scroll bar policy, javax.swing.j scroll pane.vertical _ scroll bar _ always. Scroll log.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 800,200. Scroll log.set name, scroll log. Return scroll log. This method initializes list log. At return javax.swing.j list. Public javax.swing.j list get list log. If list log equals null. List log equals new javax.swing.j list. List log.set double buffered, true. List log.set cell renderer, get log pane L cell renderer. List log.set selection mode, javax.swing.list selection model.single_interval_selection. List log.set name, list log. List log.set font, new java.awt.font, default, java.awt.font.plain, 12. List log.add listener, new java.awt.event.mouse adapter. Public void mouse pressed, java.awt.event.mouse event e. If e.get modifiers, and input event.button 3_mask, equals 0, right mouse button. View.get singleton, .get pop-up menu, .show, e.get component, e.get x, e.get y. Return. If e.get modifiers, and input event.button 1_mask, equals 0 and e.get click count, 1, double click. Request panel.setup focus. Return. List log.add a list selection listener, new javax.swing.event.list selection listener. Public void value changed, javax.swing.event.list selection event e. If list log.get selected value equals null. Return. Final history reference history ref equals history reference list log.get selected value. Readan display history ref. Return list log. Private void readan display history reference history ref. HTTP message equals null. Try. Message equals history ref.getP message. If message get request header dot is empty. Request panel.set message, null, true. Else. Request panel.set message, true. If message get response header, dot is empty. Response panel.set message, null, false. Else. Response panel.set message, false. Catch, exception E1. E1.print stack trace. Private vector display q equals new vector. Private thread equals null. Private log panel cell renderer log panel cell renderer equals null. At javdicl index equals 0 visual constraint equals 10,304. Private void readan display, final history reference history ref. Synchronized, display q. If extension history.isenable fornative platform, extension.get browser dialog, is visible. Truncate q if browser dialog is displayed to have better response. If display q.size 0. Replace all display q because the newest display overrides all previous one. Pending to be rendered. Display q.clear. Display q.add history ref. If thread equals null and thread is alive. Return. Thread equals new thread, this. Thread.set priority, thread.norm_priority. Thread.start. Public void set display panel, HTTP panel request panel, HTTP panel response panel. This .request panel equals request panel. This .response panel equals response panel. Private void display message, HTTP message. If message get request header is empty. Request panel.set message, null, true. Else. Request panel.set message, true. If message get response header is empty. Response panel.set message, null, false. Else. Response panel.set message, false. Public void run. History reference ref equals null. Int count equals 0. 2. Synchronized, display q. Count equals display q.size. If count equals 0. Break. Ref equals history reference display q.get 0. Display q.remove 0. Try. Final history reference final ref equals ref. Final HTTP message equals ref.getP message. Event q.invoke and wait, new runnable. Public void run. Display message, message. Check and show browser, final rev, message. List log.request focus. Catch, exception E1. E1.print stack trace. Wait some time to allow another selection event to be triggered. Try. Thread.sleep, 200. Catch, exception E. While, true. Private void check and show browser, history reference rev, HTTP message. If, extension history.isenable for native app platform, extension.get browser dialog, is visible. Return. Extension.browser display, rev, message. This method initializes log panel cell renderer. At return org.paros proxy.paros.extension.history.log panel cell renderer. Private log panel cell renderer get log panel cell renderer. If log panel cell renderer equals null. Log panel cell renderer equals new log panel cell renderer. Log panel cell renderer dot set size, new java.awt.dimension, 328,21. Log panel cell renderer dot set background, java.awt.color.white. Log panel cell renderer dot set font, new java.awt.font, ms sans serif, java.awt.font.plain, 12. Return log panel cell renderer. Package org.paros proxy.paros.extension.history. Import java.awt.component. Import javax.swing.jlist. Import javax.swing.jpanel. Import javax.swing.listCellRenderer. Import javax.swing.jlabel. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.historyReference. Import org.paros proxy.paros.network.http malformed header exception. Import org.paros proxy.paros.network.http message. Import java.awt.color. Import java.awt.gridbag layout. Import java.awt.gridbag constraints. Import java.sql.sql exception. Public class log panel cell renderer extends jpanel implements list cell renderer. Private jlabel text ID equals null. Private jlabel text method equals null. Private jlabel text URI equals null. Private jlabel text status equals null. Private jlabel text reason equals null. Private jlabel text RTT equals null. Private jlabel text tag equals null. This is the default constructor. Public log panel cell renderer. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. Gridbag constraints 4 equals new gridbag constraints. Gridbag constraints 4.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.west. Gridbag constraints 4.gridx equals 6. Gridbag constraints 4.grid equals 0. Gridbag constraints 4.weights equals 0.25d. Gridbag constraints 4.ipadx equals 4. Gridbag constraints 4.ipad equals 1. Gridbag constraints 4.insets equals new java.awt.insets, 0,2,0,0. Gridbag constraints 4.fill equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.horizontal. Gridbag constraints 3 equals new gridbag constraints. Gridbag constraints 3.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.west. Gridbag constraints 3.grid equals 0. Gridbag constraints 3.weights equals 0.0d. Gridbag constraints 3.ipadx equals 4. Gridbag constraints 3.ipad equals 1. Gridbag constraints 3.gridx equals 5. Gridbag constraints 21 equals new gridbag constraints. Grid bag constraints 21. Gridx equals 4. Grid bag constraints 21. iPadx equals 4. Grid bag constraints 21. iPaddy equals 1. Grid bag constraints 21. Weights equals 0.0 d. Grid bag constraints 21. Anchor equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints. West. Grid bag constraints 21. Griddy equals 0. Grid bag constraints 11 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 11. Anchor equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints. West. Grid bag constraints 11. Griddy equals 0. Grid bag constraints 11. Weights equals 0.0 d. Grid bag constraints 11. iPadx equals 4. Grid bag constraints 11. iPaddy equals 1. Grid bag constraints 11. Gridx equals 3. Text tag equals new JLabel. Text tag set text. Text tag set background, java.awt. System color text. Text tag horizontal alignment, javax swing constants left. Text tag set preferred size, new java.awt. Dimension, 70,15. Text tag set minimum size, new java.awt. Dimension, 70,15. Text tag set font, new java.awt. Font, default, java.awt. Font plain, 12. Text tag setOpac, true. Text RTT equals new JLabel. Text RTT. Set text. Text RTT. Set background, java.awt. System color text. Text RTT. Horizontal alignment, javax swing constants right. Text RTT. Set preferred size, new java.awt. Dimension, 55,15. Text RTT. Set minimum size, new java.awt. Dimension, 55,15. Text RTT. Set font, new java.awt. Font, default, java.awt. Font plain, 12. Text RTT. setOpac, true. Text reason equals new JLabel. Text reason. Set text. Text reason. Set background, java.awt. System color text. Text reason. Horizontal alignment, javax swing constants left. Text reason. Set preferred size, new java.awt. Dimension, 85,15. Text reason. Set minimum size, new java.awt. Dimension, 85,15. Text reason. Set font, new java.awt. Font, default, java.awt. Font plain, 12. Text reason. setOpac, true. Text reason. Set visible, true. Text status equals new JLabel. Text status. Set text. Text status. Set background, java.awt. System color text. Text status. Horizontal alignment, javax swing constants center. Text status. Set preferred size, new java.awt. Dimension, 30,15. Text status. Set minimum size, new java.awt. Dimension, 30,15. Text status. Set font, new java.awt. Font, default, java.awt. Font plain, 12. Text status. setOpac, true. Grid bag constraints 2 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 2. Insets equals new java.awt. Insets, 0,0,0,0. Grid bag constraints 2. Griddy equals 0. Grid bag constraints 2. Fill equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints horizontal. Grid bag constraints 2. Weights equals 0.75 d. Grid bag constraints 2. Anchor equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints west. Grid bag constraints 2. iPadx equals 4. Grid bag constraints 2. iPaddy equals 1. Grid bag constraints 2. Gridx equals 2. Grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 1 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 1.insets equals new java.awt.insets 0,0,0,0. Grid bag constraints 1.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 1.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.west. Grid bag constraints 1.weights equals 0.0d. Grid bag constraints 1.ipadx equals 4. Grid bag constraints 1.ipad equals 1. Grid bag constraints 1.fill equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.none. Grid bag constraints 1.gridx equals 1. Grid bag constraints equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints.insets equals new java.awt.insets 0,0,0,0. Grid bag constraints.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.west. Grid bag constraints.weights equals 0.0d. Grid bag constraints.ipadx equals 4. Grid bag constraints.ipad equals 1. Grid bag constraints.gridx equals 0. Text URI equals new JLabel. Text URI.set text. Text URI.set background, java.awt.systemcolor.text. Text URI.horizontal alignment, javax.swing constants.left. Text URI.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 420,15. Text URI.set minimum size, new java.awt.dimension, 420,15. Text URI.set font, new java.awt.font, default, java.awt.font.plain, 12. Text URI.setOpac, true. Text method equals new JLabel. Text method.set text. Text method.set background, java.awt.systemcolor.text. Text method.horizontal alignment, javax.swing constants.left. Text method.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 45,15. Text method.set minimum size, new java.awt.dimension, 45,15. Text method.set font, new java.awt.font, default, java.awt.font.plain, 12. Text method.set cursor, new java.awt.cursor, java.awt.cursor.default_cursor. Text method.setOpac, true. Text ID equals new JLabel. Text ID.set text. Text ID.set background, java.awt.systemcolor.text. Text ID.set cursor, new java.awt.cursor, java.awt.cursor.default_cursor. Text ID.horizontal alignment, javax.swing constants.center. Text ID.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 40,15. Text ID.set minimum size, new java.awt.dimension, 40,15. Text ID.set font, new java.awt.font, default, java.awt.font.plain, 12. Text ID.setOpac, true. This .set layout, new grid bag layout. This .set size, 328, 11. This .set font, new java.awt.font, default, java.awt.font.plain, 12. This .add, text ID, grid bag constraints. This .add, text method, grid bag constraints 1. This .add, text URI, grid bag constraints 2. This .add, text status, grid bag constraints 11. This .add, text reason, grid bag constraints 21. This .add, text RTT, grid bag constraints 3. This .add, text tag, grid bag constraints 4. Public component get list renderer component, JList list, object value, int index, boolean is selected, boolean cell has focus. History reference ref equals, history reference, value. Text id dot set text, integer dot toString ring, ref dot get historiad. HTTP message. Try. Message equals ref dot get p message. Text method dot set text, message get request header, dot get method. Text URI dot set text, message get request header, dot get URI, dot toString ring. Text status dot set text, integer dot toString ring, message get response header, dot get status code. Text reason dot set text, message get response header, dot get reason phrase. Text rtt dot set text, message get time elapsed milis, plus ms. Text tag dot set text, message get tag. Catch, HTTP malformed header exception e.print stack trace. Catch, SQL exception e.print stack trace. If, is selected. Text id dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text id dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text method dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text method dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text URI dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text URI dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text status dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text status dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text reason dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text reason dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text rtt dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text rtt dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Text tag dot set background, list dot get selection background. Text tag dot set foreground, list dot get selection foreground. Else. Color darker equals new color, list dot get background, dot get RGB, and 0xFFECECEC. Text id dot set background, list dot get background. Text id dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text method dot set background, darker. Text method dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text URI dot set background, list dot get background. Text URI dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text status dot set background, darker. Text status dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text reason dot set background, list dot get background. Text reason dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text rtt dot set background, darker. Text rtt dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Text tag dot set background, list dot get background. Text tag dot set foreground, list dot get foreground. Set enabled, list dot is enabled. Set font, list dot get font. Return this. At javedical index equals 0 visual constraint equals 10,10. Package org.paros proxy.paros.view. Import java.awt.eventqueue. Import javax.swing.jpanel. Import java.awt.gridbag constraints. Import java.awt.card layout. Import java.awt.gridbag layout. Import javax.swing.box layout. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class mainframe extends abstract frame. Private javax.swing.jpanel jcontent pane equals null. Private javax.swing.jpanel pane content equals null. Private javax.swing.jlabel text status equals null. Private org.paros proxy.paros.view.workbench panel pane standard equals null. Private org.paros proxy.paros.view.main menu bar equals null. Private jpanel pane display equals null. This method initializes public mainframe. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot set jmenubar, get main menu bar. This dot set content pane, get pane content. This dot set size, 800, 600. This dot set default closey operation, javax.swing.window constants.do _nothing _ close. This dot add window listener, new java.awt.event.window adapter. Public void window closing, java.awt.event.window event e. Get main menu bar, get menu file control, exit. This dot set visible, false. This method initializes pane content. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private javax.swing.jpanel get pane content. If pane content equals null. Pane content equals new javax.swing.jpanel. Pane content.set layout, new box layout, get pane content, box layout.y _axis. Pane content.set enabled, true. Pane content.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 800,600. Pane content.set font, new java.awt.font, dialog, java.awt.font.plain, 12. Pane content.add, get pane display, null. Pane content.add, gets status, null. Return pane content. This method initializes text status. At return javax.swing.jlabel. Private javax.swing.jlabel gets status. If text status equals null. Text status equals new javax.swing.jlabel. Text status.set name, text status. Text status.set text, initializing. Text status.set horizontal alignment, javax.swing constants.left. Text status.set horizontal text position, javax.swing constants.left. Text status.set preferred size, new java.awt.dimension, 800,18. Return text status. This method initializes pane standard. At return proof secure.paros.view.standard panel. org.paros proxy.paros.view.workbench panel get workbench. If pane standard equals null. Pane standard equals new org.paros proxy.paros.view.workbench panel. Pane standard.set layout, new java.awt.card layout. Pane standard.set name, pane standard. Return pane standard. This method initializes main menu bar. At return proof secure.paros.view.menu display. Public org.paros proxy.paros.view.main menu bar get main menu bar. If main menu bar equals null. Main menu bar equals new org.paros proxy.paros.view.main menu bar. Return main menu bar. Public void set status, final string message. If event queue.is dispatch thread. Text status.set text, message. Return. Try. Event queue.invoke and wait, new runnable. Public void run. Text status.set text, message. Catch, exception e. This method initializes pane display. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Public jpanel get pane display. If pane display equals null. Pane display equals new jpanel. Pane display.set layout, new card layout. Pane display.set name, pane display. Pane display.add, get workbench, get name. Return pane display. Package org.parosproxy.paros.view. Import javax.swing.jmenubar. Import javax.swing.jmenudum. Import javax.swing.jmenu. Import org.parosproxy.paros.control.control. Import org.parosproxy.paros.control.menu file control. Import org.parosproxy.paros.control.menu tools control. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class main menu bar extends jmenubar. Private javax.swing.jmenu menu edit equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenu menu tools equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenu menu view equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenudum menu tools options equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenu menu file equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenudum menu file new session equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenudum menu file open equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenudum menu file savius equals null. Private javax.swing.jmenudum menu file exit equals null. Private jmenudum menu file properties equals null. Private jmenudum menu file save equals null. Private jmenu menu help equals null. Private jmenudum menu help about equals null. Private jmenu menu analyze equals null. This method initializes public main menu bar. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot add, get menu file. This dot add, get menu dit. This dot add, get menu view. This dot add, get menu analyze. This dot add, get menu tools. This dot add, get menu help. This method initializes menu edit. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Public javax.swing.jmenu get menu dit. If menu edit equals null. Menu edit equals new javax.swing.jmenu. Menu edit.set text, edit. Menu edit.add, get jmenudum. Return menu edit. This method initializes menu tools. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Public javax.swing.jmenu get menu tools. If menu tools equals null. Menu tools equals new javax.swing.jmenu. Menu tools.set text, tools. Menu tools.add separator. Menu tools.add, get menu tools options. Return menu tools. This method initializes menu view. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Public javax.swing.jmenu get menu view. If menu view equals null. Menu view equals new javax.swing.jmenu. Menu view.set text, view. Return menu view. This method initializes menu tools options. At return javax.swing.jmenudum. Private javax.swing.jmenudum get menu tools options. If menu tools options equals null. Menu tools options equals new javax.swing.jmenudum. Menu tools options.set text, options. Menu tools options.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu tools control, options. Return menu tools options. This method initializes menu file. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Public javax.swing.jmenu get menu file. If menu file equals null. Menu file equals new javax.swing.jmenu. Menu file.set text, file. Menu file.set mnemonic, java.awt.event.kevent.vk_f. Menu file.add, get menu file a new session. Menu file.add, get menu file open. Menu file.add separator. Menu file.add, get menu file save. Menu file.add, get menu file savius. Menu file.add separator. Menu file.add, get menu file properties. Menu file.add separator. Menu file.add separator. Menu file.add, get menu file exit. Return menu file. This method initializes menu file new session. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private javax.swing.jmenutum get menu file new session. If menu file new session equals null. Menu file new session equals new javax.swing.jmenutum. Menu file new session.set text, new session. Menu file new session.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Try. Get menu file control, .news assign, true. Get menu file save, .set enabled, false. Catch, exception E1. View.get singleton, .show warning dialog, error creating new session. E1.print stack trace. Return menu file new session. This method initializes menu file open. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private javax.swing.jmenutum get menu file open. If menu file open equals null. Menu file open equals new javax.swing.jmenutum. Menu file open.set text, open session. Menu file open.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu file control, .open session. Get menu file save, .set enabled, true. Return menu file open. This method initializes menu file savius. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private javax.swing.jmenutum get menu file savius. If menu file savius equals null. Menu file savius equals new javax.swing.jmenutum. Menu file savius.set text, save as. Menu file savius.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu file control, .savius session. Return menu file savius. This method initializes menu file exit. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private javax.swing.jmenutum get menu file exit. If menu file exit equals null. Menu file exit equals new javax.swing.jmenutum. Menu file exit.set text, exit. Menu file exit.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu file control, .exit. Return menu file exit. This method initializes menu file control. At return com-proof secure.paros.view.menu file control. Public menu file control get menu file control. Return control.get singleton, .get menu file control. This method initializes menu tools control. At return com-proof secure.paros.view.menu tools control. Private menu tools control get menu tools control. Return control.get singleton, .get menu tools control. This method initializes menu file properties. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private jmenutum get menu file properties. If menu file properties equals null. Menu file properties equals new jmenutum. Menu file properties.set text, properties. Menu file properties.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu file control, .properties. Return menu file properties. This method initializes menu file save. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Public jmenutum get menu file save. If menu file save equals null. Menu file save equals new j minutum. Menu file save dot set text save. Menu file save dot set enabled false. Menu file save dot add action listener new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed java.awt.event.action event e. Get menu file control save session. Return menu file save. This method initializes menu help. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Private jmenu get menu help. If menu help equals null. Menu help equals new jmenu. Menu help dot set text help. Menu help dot add get menu help about. Return menu help. This method initializes menu help about. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private jmenutum get menu help about. If menu help about equals null. Menu help about equals new jmenutum. Menu help about dot set text about paros. Menu help about dot add action listener new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed java.awt.event.action event e. About dialog equals new about dialog view.get singleton .get mainframe true. Dialog.set visible true. Return menu help about. This method initializes jmenu1. At return javax.swing.jmenu. Public jmenu get menu analyze. If menu analyze equals null. Menu analyze equals new jmenu. Menu analyze dot set text analyze. Return menu analyze. Package org.parosproxy.paros.view. Import java.awt.component. Import java.utility-list. Import javax.swing.jmenutum. Import javax.swing.jpop-up menu. Import org.parosproxy.paros.extension.extension hook menu. Import org.parosproxy.paros.extension.extension pop-up menu. Import org.parosproxy.paros.extension.edit.popup find menu. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class main pop-up menu extends jpop-up menu. Private list item list equals null. Private pop-up find menu equals null. At javdicl index equals 0 visual constraint equals 125,151. Private pop-up delete menu equals null. Private pop-up purge menu equals null. Public main pop-up menu. Super. Initialize. At param arg0. Public main pop-up menu, string arg0. Super, arg0. Public main pop-up menu, list item list. This dot item list equals item list. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot set visible, true. Added preset pop-up menu here. This dot add, get pop-up find menu. This dot add, get pop-up delete menu. This dot add, get pop-up urge menu. Public synchronized void show, component invoker, int x, int y. Boolean is first equals true. Extension pop-up menu equals null. 4, int I equals 0, I get component count, I++. Try. If, get component, I, equals null and get component, I, instancio of extension pop-up menu. Menu equals, extension pop-up menu, get component, I. Menu.set visible, menu.isenable for component, invoker, and menu.is enabled. Catch, exception e. E.print stack trace. 4, int I equals 0, item list dot size, I++. Menu equals, extension pop-up menu, item list dot get, I. Try. If, menu equals extension hook menu dot pop-up underscore menu underscore separator. This dot add separator. Continue. If, menu dot isenable for component, invoker, for component, invoker. This dot add, menu. Is first equals false. Catch, exception e dot print stack trace. Super dot show, invoker, x, y. This method initializes pop-up delete menu. At return javax.swing.jmenutum. Private jmenutum get pop-up delete menu. If, pop-up delete menu equals null. Pop-up delete menu equals new pop-up delete menu. Return pop-up delete menu. This method initializes pop-up urge menu. At return org.paros proxy.paros.view.popup purge menu. Private pop-up purge menu get pop-up urge menu. If, pop-up urge menu equals null. Pop-up urge menu equals new pop-up purge menu. Return pop-up urge menu. Package org.paros proxy.paros.extension.history. Import java.awt.event queue. Import java.awt.frame. Import java.awt.gridbag constraints. Import java.awt.gridbag layout. Import java.awt.headless exception. Import java.io.io exception. Import javax.swing.jbutton. Import javax.swing.jlabel. Import javax.swing.jpanel. Import javax.swing.jtabedpane. Import org.paros proxy.paros.extension.abstract dialog. Import org.paros proxy.paros.extension.extension. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.model. Import org.paros proxy.paros.network.http malformed header exception. Import org.paros proxy.paros.network.http message. Import org.paros proxy.paros.network.http sender. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.http panel. Import javax.swing.j checkbox. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class manual request editor dialog extends abstract dialog. Private HTTP panel request panel equals null. Private JPanel panel command equals null. Private JButton btn send equals null. Private JLabel equals null. At JVDICL index equals 0. Private JTabed pane panel tab equals null. Private HTTP panel response panel equals null. Private extension equals null. Private HTTP sender equals null. Private boolean esend enabled equals true. Private JPanel equals null. Private JCheckbox follow direct equals null. Private JCheckbox queues tracking session state equals null. At throws headless exception. Public manual request editor dialog, throws headless exception. Super. Initialize. At param arg0. At param arg1. At throws headless exception. Public manual request editor dialog, frame parent, boolean modal, boolean esend enabled, extension, throws headless exception. Super, parent, modal. This dot esend enabled equals esend enabled. This dot extension equals extension. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. Get request panel, dot get panel option, dot add, get panel command. This.add window listener, new java.awt.event.window adapter. Public void window closing, java.awt.event.window event e. Get sender, shutdown. Get response panel, set message, false. This set content pane, get jpanel. This set visible, true. This method initializes request panel. At return org.paros proxy.paros.view.http panel. Public HTTP panel get request panel. If request panel equals null. Request panel equals new HTTP panel, true. Return request panel. This method initializes jpanel. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private jpanel get panel command. If panel command equals null. Panel command equals new jpanel. Grid bag constraints 11 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 1 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 2 equals new grid bag constraints. Grid bag constraints 3 equals new grid bag constraints. JLabel equals new JLabel. Panel command set layout, new grid bag layout. JLabel set text. Grid bag constraints 2.gridx equals 0. Grid bag constraints 2.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 2.ipadx equals 0. Grid bag constraints 2.ipad equals 0. Grid bag constraints 2.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.northwest. Grid bag constraints 2.fill equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.horizontal. Grid bag constraints 2.weights equals 1.0d. Grid bag constraints 3.gridx equals 3. Grid bag constraints 3.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 3.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.northeast. Grid bag constraints 3.insets equals new java.awt.insets, 2,2,2,2. Grid bag constraints 1.gridx equals 2. Grid bag constraints 1.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 11.anchor equals java.awt.gridbagconstraints.east. Grid bag constraints 11.gridx equals 1. Grid bag constraints 11.grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 11.insets equals new java.awt.insets, 0,0,0,0. Panel command.add, JLabel, grid bag constraints 2. Panel command.add, getchcastracking session state, grid bag constraints 11. Panel command.add, getch follow direct, grid bag constraints 1. Panel command.add, get ton send, grid bag constraints 3. Return panel command. This method initializes jbutton. At return javax.swing.jbutton. Private jbutton get ton send. If btn send equals null. btn send equals new jbutton. btn send.set text, send. btn send.set enabled, send enabled. btn send.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. btn send.set enabled, false. http message equals new http message. Get request panel, get message, true. Message get request header, set content length, message get request body, length. Send, message. Return btn send. This method initializes jtabid pane. At return javax.swing.jtabid pane. Private jtabid pane get panel tab. If panel tab equals null. Panel tab equals new jtabid pane. Panel tab.set double buffered, true. Panel tab.add tab, request, null, get request panel, null. Panel tab.add tab, response, null, get response panel, null. Return panel tab. This method initializes HTTP panel. At return org.parosproxy.paros.view.http panel. Public HTTP panel get response panel. If response panel equals null. Response panel equals new HTTP panel, false. Return response panel. Public void set extension, extension. This dot extension equals extension. Private extension get extension. Return extension. Public void set visible, boolean show. If show try. If HTTP sender equals null. HTTP sender dot shutdown. HTTP sender equals null. Catch exception e. Get panel tab dot set selected index 0. Boolean e session track engineered equals model dot get singleton dot get options param dot get connection param dot isht state enabled. Getchkas tracking session state dot set enabled e session track engineered. Super dot set visible show. Private HTTP sender get sender. If HTTP sender equals null. HTTP sender equals new HTTP sender, model dot get singleton dot get options param dot get connection param, getchkas tracking session state dot is selected. Return HTTP sender. Public void set message, HTTP message. Get panel tab dot set selected index 0. Get request panel dot set message true. Get response panel dot set message false. Get button send dot set enabled true. This method initializes JPanel. At return javax.swing.jpanel. Private JPanel get JPanel. If JPanel equals null. Grid bag constraints 31 equals new grid bag constraints. JPanel equals new JPanel. JPanel dot set layout, new grid bag layout. Grid bag constraints 31 dot gridx equals 0. Grid bag constraints 31 dot grid equals 0. Grid bag constraints 31 dot weights equals 1.0. Grid bag constraints 31 dot weight equals 1.0. Grid bag constraints 31 dot fill equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints dot both. Grid bag constraints 31 dot anchor equals java.awt. Grid bag constraints dot northwest. JPanel dot add get panel tab grid bag constraints 31. Return JPanel. This method initializes follow direct. At return javax.swing.j checkbox. Private j checkbox get follow direct. If follow direct equals null. Follow direct equals new j checkbox. Follow direct dot set text follow redirect. Follow direct dot set selected true. Return follow direct. This method initializes j checkbox. At return javax.swing.j checkbox. Private j checkbox getchkas tracking session state. If shq's tracking session state equals null. Shq's tracking session state equals new j checkbox. Shq's tracking session state dot set text use current tracking session. Return shq's tracking session state. Private void send final HTTP message. Thread t equals new thread, new runnable. Public void run. Try. Get sender, dot send and receive, message, getch follow direct, dot is selected. Event queue dot invoke and wait, new runnable. Public void run. If, message get response header, dot is empty. Get response panel, dot set message, false. Get panel tab, dot set selected index, 1. Catch, null pointer exception enp. Get extension, dot get view, dot show warning dialog, malformed header error. Catch, HTTP malformed header exception MHE. Get extension, dot get view, dot show warning dialog, malformed header error. Catch, IO exception IOE. Get extension, dot get view, dot show warning dialog, IO error in sending request. Catch, exception E. Finally, btn_send.set enabled, true. t.set priority, thread.norm_priority. t.start. Package org.paros proxy.paros.control. Import java.io.file. Import javax.swing.j file cursor. Import javax.swing.joption pane. Import javax.swing.filechooser.file filter. Import org.apache.commons.logging.log. Import org.apache.commons.logging.log factory. Import org.paros proxy.paros.constant. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.model. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.session. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.session listener. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.session dialog. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.view. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.wait message dialog. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class menu file control implements session listener. Private static log equals log factory.get log, menu file control.class. Private view equals null. Private model equals null. Private control equals null. Private wait message dialog wait a message dialog equals null. Public menu file control, model, view, control. This dot view equals view. This dot model equals model. This dot control equals control. Public void exit. Boolean isNewState equals model dot gets isCyan, dot isNewState. If isNewState. If view dot show confirm dialog, the current session is not saved. Discard. Equals joption pane dot ok underscore option. Return. Model dot gets isCyan, dot discard. Wait message dialog equals view dot get wait a message dialog, shutting down server and database. Thread t equals new thread, new runnable. Public void run. Control dot shutdown, false. Log.info, constant.program underscore title plus terminated. System.exit, 0. T.start. Dialog.set visible, true. Public void news isCyan, boolean isPrompt new session, throws class not found exception. If isPrompt new session. If model.gets isCyan, isNewState. If view.show confirm dialog, the current session is not saved. Discard and create new session. Equals joption pane.ok underscore option. Return. Model.gets isCyan, discard. Else if view.show confirm dialog, the current session will be closed. Create new session. Equals joption pane.ok underscore option. Return. Model.create and open untitled. Session equals new session, model. Log.info, new session file created. Model.sets isCyan, session. View.getSID panel, .getTreeSite, .set model, session.getSID tree. Comment code below so new session use default untitled first. If isPrompt new session. Session dialog equals view.getSession dialog, new session. Dialog.initParam, session. Dialog.show dialog, false. Savia session. Control.getExtensionLoader, .session change eval plugin, session. Refresh display. View.getMainFrame, .set title, session.getSessionName, plus constant.program underscore name. View.getOutputPanel, .clear. Public void open session. J-file cursor chooser equals new J-file cursor, model.get option sparam, .get as directory. File equals null. Chooser.set file filter, new file filter. Public boolean accept, file. If, file.is directory. Return true. Else if, file.is file, and end file.get name, .ends with, .session. Return true. Return false. Public string get description. Return paros session. Int rc equals chooser.show append dialog, view.get mainframe. If, rc equals jfile cursor.approve underscore option. Try. File equals chooser.get selected file. If, file equals null. Return. Model.get option sparam, .seed as directory, chooser.get current directory. Session equals model.get session. Log.info, opening session file plus file.get absolute path. Wait a message dialog equals view.get wait a message dialog, loading session file. Please wait. Session.open, file, this. Wait a message dialog.set visible, true. Catch, exception e.print stack trace. Public void save session. Session equals model.get session. If, session.is news state. View.show warning dialog, please use save as. Return. Try. Wait a message dialog equals view.get wait a message dialog, saving session file. Please wait. Session.save, session.get file name, this. Log.info, saving session file plus session.get file name. Wait a message dialog.set visible, true. Catch, exception View.show warning dialog, error saving session file. Log.error, error saving session file plus session.get file name. Log.error, e.get message. Public void savia session. Session equals model.get session. J-file cursor chooser equals new J-file cursor, model.get option sparam, .get as directory. Chooser.set file filter, new file filter. Public boolean accept, file. If, file.is directory. Return true. Else if, file.is file, and end file.get name, .ends with, .session. Return true. Return false. Public string get description. Return paros session. File equals null. Int rc equals chooser.show save dialog, view.get mainframe. If, rc equals jfile cursor.approve underscore option. File equals chooser.get selected file. If, file equals null. Return. Model.get option sparam, .seed as directory, chooser.get current directory. String file name equals file.get absolute path. If, file name .ends with, .session. File name plus equals .session. Try. Wait a message dialog equals view.get wait a message dialog, saving new session file. Please wait. Session.save, file name, this. Log.info, save as session file plus session.get file name. Wait a message dialog.set visible, true. Catch, exception e.print stack trace. Public void properties. Session dialog equals view.get session dialog, session properties. Dialog.init param, model.get session. Dialog.show dialog, false. View.get mainframe, .set title, constant.program underscore name plus constant.program underscore version plus model.get session, .get session name. Non-Java doc. At corg.paros proxy.paros.model.session listener number session opened, java.lang.exception. Public void session opened, file, exception If, equals null. Control.get extension loader, .session change eval plugin, model.get syscian. View.get mainframe, .set title, file.get name, .replace all, .session // plus constant.program underscore name. Else. View.show warning dialog, error opening session file. Log.error, error opening session file plus file.get absolute path. Log.error, e.get message. If, wait a message dialog, equals null. Wait a message dialog.set visible, false. Wait a message dialog equals null. Non-javadoc. At corg.paros proxy.paros.model.session listener number session saved, java.lang.exception. Public void session saved, exception e. If, e equals null. View.get mainframe, .get main menu bar, .get menu file save, .set enabled, true. File equals new file, model.get syscian, .get file name. View.get mainframe, .set title, file.get name, .replace all, .session // z, plus constant.program underscore name. Else. View.show warning dialog, error saving session file. E.print stack trace. Log.error, error saving session file plus model.get syscian, .get file name. Log.error, e.get stack trace. If, wait a message dialog, equals null. Wait a message dialog.set visible, false. Wait a message dialog equals null. Package org.paros proxy.paros.control. Import javax.swing.jobtion Import org.apache.commons.configuration exception. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.options dialog. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.view. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class menu tools control. Private view equals null. Private model equals null. Private control equals null. Public menu tools control. Use implicit MVC if not given. View equals view.get singleton. Model equals model.get singleton. Control equals control.get singleton. Public menu tools control, model, view, control. Best use explicit class constructor. This.model equals model. This.view equals view. This.control equals control. Public void options. Options dialog equals view.get options dialog, options. Dialog.init param, model.get options param. Int result equals dialog.show dialog, false. If, result equals jobtion pane.ok underscore option. Try. Model.get options param, .get config, .save. Catch, configuration exception e. E.print stack trace. View.show warning dialog, error saving options. Return. Control.get proxy, .stop server. Control.get proxy, .start server.